everybody. Welcome back to Meds and Magic. It's me, Samantha, and I'm so happy to have a very dear friend. Did y'all see I said dear? Like it was in my soul. Friend Kellie Ladipo here to chat with us about her healing journey, her personal transformation, all things motherhood, wifeyhood, entrepreneur. Like she out here doing the thing. Kellie, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Yay. I'm super excited for our chat today.
Yes, I'm so excited. Okay, y'all, picture this. Like you out here just doing the mommy thing, you're doing the wifey thing. You are, what, you were in your 30s, right? When this happens?
No, I was in my 40s.
40s. You're in
Yeah.
your 40s, living your 40 life, right? And then, bam, your life is literally flipped upside down in a tragic accident. And you had to learn all the basics again, walking, taking care of yourself, being cared for in that position. This is what Kellie had to go through. And I just can't, I mean, having two young boys. So Kellie is going to break it down to us, like literally how she pieced her life back together again, coming back from the brink of losing her life. Literally. Kellie, hop in here.
Hopping in. It's wow.
Yes.
I'm hearing you tell the story. And so there were a lot of things that I will go ahead and say, a lot of things that I did have to, overcome. I was able to walk in things, but we'll get into the depths of kind of the injuries and things. But yeah, doing, as you said, living life. And just without getting into like all of the real, specifics kind of how the accident happened, because I kind of want to be on the healing
Yeah,
side of
yeah.
talking about it. Um,
Yes.
going to pick up, the kids. They were with my parents at the time, and just going to pick them up, and made a left turn, and then boom, I got met by a tractor trailer, and so it was a really really bad accident. Broke many things. Some things, didn't know you could break, but there
You're
were,
right.
you know,
Didn't know that the body could do and break.
yeah,
Yeah.
so broke many things, and then had recovery time. But what's interesting about it, and I'm sure we'll get into it, is just kind of the space that you give yourself for recovery, or that you don't give yourself
Yes.
for recovery, and so yeah, just again without
Yeah.
giving all the
Yeah.
little minute details. I broke a lot of things. Was
Yeah.
immediately rushed to the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll give props to Grady. They were great.
Yay, Grady, for trauma. Like literally, y'all, when you get hurt and things hit the fan, that is where you need to be. Anybody in Atlanta? Grady, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So was rushed to Grady, and this was like in the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
So it was one of those situations where you go to Grady, but it's like your people can't be there with you,
Yeah.
because there are just protocols in place.
Shutting down.
Yeah, but immediately went into surgery and healing mode, and then I think I was maybe about a week. I was a few days, definitely was in a sleep-induced coma, because
Mm-hmm.
when I went in, I was kind of wiry, and doing some things. I really wasn't sure. Also, the blessing of the accident, particularly once it happened, like I don't remember much about the accident.
Okay.
I remember going many weeks later to my parents' house and seeing my contribution to the side of the that particular corridor of
Yeah.
driving. I'm like, oh, that is where I was hit. That was an interesting moment.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I want to interject here a little bit because I love I'm not going to say love, but I have a fascination and a deep appreciation for trauma healing. And so I just want to point out that oftentimes we look at trauma as like a negative thing and a bad thing, but it is a normal physiological response to events that your mind just doesn't have the capacity to deal with, and other parts of your body need to sort of be present or be activated or whatever. So it could be your mind shutting down or your body shutting down, but it's a natural response. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with you if you can't remember all the traumatic things that happen in your life. Like that's actually your mind doing the thing that's necessary for healing. And then as you move further away from the situation and you expand and build the capacity to process those things, whether it be therapy, your spiritual traditions, or what have you, then maybe you'll have that space to start to peel back and process any unhealed emotions or built up energy that really does need to pass through now that you're able to.
Yeah. No, that's good. And it's interesting because, this happened 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we'll get into, I'm sure, because you're the medicine woman over here. So I'm sure that there's some questions coming about that healing. But, it's 5 years ago. And so you think about kind of where you were, like when it happened, and then really the space that it takes to move to a different understanding of, your journey and the things that have happened to you, how you think about them, how you want to leverage them and use them, to move into more of who you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long were you in the hospital? Like,
Yeah.
how long were you
Yeah.
there before you were able to come back home?
Honestly, not that long. I think
Okay.
it was between like 2 and 3 weeks.
Okay.
I don't really know
Not
the
that
exact
long.
days. Yeah. I mean, for the type of
For
injuries
the
that I
type of
had,
okay.
yeah, it
Okay. For
really was not
context,
that
yeah.
long. Yeah, I remember being discharged, and one of, I think, the um, physicians or surgeons who was there when I was in the ER, came in and, she was giving me the discharge notice, and she just said, I mean, really, to see you leaving the hospital, I left with a walker and things, for some support. But she was just like, it's really, really great, to see you leave. Like I see a lot
You
of things
wouldn't expect
every
someone with
day.
your degree
Yeah.
of like the car damage and everything that you came in with to be where you were in just a few short weeks.
Yeah, yeah, no. So I mean, it was really, really a blessing, and it's just one of those also accidents where there was a lot that happened, but our bodies really are. I know we'll talk about it. It's meds and magic is what we're doing here, but our bodies are miracles,
They are.
and so it's really, really fascinating what our bodies, what our minds, like what we can do if we allow the space for that to happen. And there's things on the other side that I'm sure we'll talk about too. Like there's your healing, and then there's all these wonderful people that are around you that support you that you really don't even have an understanding of what their journey was because they love you
Yeah.
and they're seeing you go through this and they have to help you through it, and it means something to them too. And so creating space for just all of the nuances of um, injury and healing,
Yeah.
and everybody has to create this space kind of to heal.
I'm curious, before you headed home, did you have any sort of what do I want to call it, like extrasensory experiences while you were in your coma? You hear a lot about people who they think that I wasn't awake, but I heard this, or, I saw light, or I saw loved ones. Like, did any of that happen to you while you were in the coma?
No, I don't recall
Okay, you don't
any of
recall
that.
it.
No,
Yeah.
no, not a lot of
It,
life. I just remember like slowly waking up,
huh?
and there was someone there and saying, "Hey, you're safe. You're
You're
in
safe.
Grady. You were in an accident. Your husband's been notified." That sort of thing. But I
Gotcha.
don't remember much in terms of when I
Of
was
that.
not awake.
And which again I want to reiterate is can be a gift. Can be a gift in the moment while your body, all of your energy literally went into putting your body back together again. You
Yeah.
know, which is amazing. So when you got home, what were you as far as like um in your career, like pre-accident? Were you like, all right, I'm out here, I am climbing the corporate ladder, I don't have time for no foolishness, like I was about my business? Like, where was your mindset? Or were you just like, okay, I'm gonna focus on raising my kids right now? Where were you with your mindset?
Yeah. So, I worked for a really great company at the time. It was a communications, a marketing firm. And so I was in that space and, doing my marketing communications work with that
Yeah.
particular organization. And it was great. I was kind of just in, I don't know the right word to put on it, but just kind of like in the the cycle, right?
Okay.
You got your projects, you know what you're doing. The kids, you know where they are. Okay, their grandparents are watching them. I forget exactly why that particular day, but you're doing your work.
Yeah.
Go get the kids, and then moving on with the different parts of your life. It's interesting you say climbing because I'll be honest, like that's something that I'm actually wrestling is not the right word, but I'm thinking about now. Like,
Mm.
where do I want to be? And so
Yeah.
I'm in this space now where I do employer branding. And we can talk about, how I
Yeah.
got into that based off of some of the insights that I learned about myself from healing from the accident. But helping other people climb and figure out, kind of where they want to be. Yeah, and helping organizations talk about the kind of environment that they create to help people climb.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the time of the accident, just kind of in my work mode, mommy
Yeah.
mode, doing all the things. And I'll be honest, not really giving a lot of space to think about um, things beyond just like what is needed right in front of me. You know?
Sort of like that automation mode that you get
Yeah.
in, once you get to a certain level. I feel like I experienced this too, especially when you become a mom. I feel like in that early stages, like career, autopilot, check. Husband, married, relationship, we good, check. Okay, these kids, let me just make sure. So I know that, like, all right, we got our routine, check. Just going about checking the boxes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a part of that too, if I'm honest, it's about how I historically have moved and not really giving myself the space to um I'm trying to find the right language. Sometimes you just don't give yourself permission to kind of go out there and like claim all the things that
Yeah.
come up in your brain, your heart space. But I'm really good about wanting other people, or feeling like, okay, I'll be there for you and that sort of thing.
So
Yeah,
you really had it down. Yes, I love that you slowed us down a bit to point out that for some people, especially when we talk about different archetypes of people, that helper, the helper that helped me. If you know Bible talk, the church talk, that helper personality. Let me make sure when everybody else is good, I feel like okay, I've done my job, and not really giving space for your shine, giving space for wait, am I good at the top of the list first? And then is everybody else good? So
yeah.
you were kind of in that mode of like, were you even on your list back?
I think we tell ourselves, all right, I did like the people that I feel like I'm going to support. Um, them being on my list is a part of me being on my list. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay. I
If that
got you.
makes
I
sense.
see what you did there. I see what you did.
Yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I mean, it's just one of those things where I also am in this space now where I'm reminded that being vocal about your own shine, people who love you are not wanting you to support them at the sacrifice of
Yes.
you doing other things. Like when we don't allow space to bring people into our shine and the things that we want to do, it doesn't allow them a space to kind of love on you and help you through this healing and things that you need to kind
Yeah.
of go through to be your best self.
I think a lot of times the people that I've come in contact with that um, have voiced sort of similar ways of moving in the world, like that helper that as long as everybody else is okay, like the degree to which somebody can show up for you the way that you show up for them, like literally does not exist. Like because that's their special gift to like give that way. And by the way, maybe you doing the most. Maybe you don't even need to be showing up that way for folks, right? And I think that's another way of kind of saying what you said. Like, literally, maybe you need to pull back so that people can have the opportunity to show up for you in a way that's needed, and you need to show up for them in a way that's not enabling them or basically having this balanced way of showing support. and articulating that and
Hmm.
standing on business on that.
And standing on business on that. And then, getting down to the root as to why we do things, right?
Yes.
I will say, in a lot of ways, the accident was 5 years ago. I think I said that before, but the number five, has a lot of different
Yeah.
significance. Like a lot happens in five. And I feel like it's really now 5 years past the accident where I am like, okay, how do I feel in my body? Like,
Yeah.
how do I feel in my spirit? And being brave enough to sit with those questions
Yeah.
and really figure out, because for so long you're just in like, okay, I'm in heal mode, I'm in survival mode still, like, okay, I'm going to be okay, I got to heal this, broken pelvis, okay, I got to
Yeah.
heal this broken eye socket. There are a lot of different things that I had never broken before
Yeah.
that I needed to heal up, and then you're just kind of like, well, what even does my pelvis do? And it's like, it's funny. It's fascinating how you break something, then you're like, oh, I guess I kind of need that, to do some very basic,
Yes.
right? We don't realize. I think I realized one of the big things, and I'm going to circle back to the space that I'm in now,
Yeah.
giving the space to actually understand how I feel and sit with that. It's because I really didn't know at the time the accident happened and you break things, like how my body actually worked. You know what I mean? In some
Mm-hmm.
instances, we think we know, and then you break something, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't even realize A, that I had that thing, and that B, it was connected to these many parts of my body. And that
Yes.
when it doesn't function properly, like I really am out of commission here. Like this is a thing. And so that's a physical thing. And then there's the stuff
Yes.
that we don't see, right?
Yes.
When it's broken, it also is impacting how we move.
Yes. I was wanting, as you were speaking, you know, there's always for me the physical, because healing is not just physical. So it's always for me the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, right? And so with going back to like does your pelvis do, what, that's a major part of structure in
Hmm.
your body, right? What did you learn about yourself? Physically, yes. I mean, I already know I'm a nurse, but I would love for you to talk about just like,
Hmm.
yeah, y'all think sitting is easy. Sitting ain't easy. A lot got to go into sitting down, right? But also, even more so, is like the emotional healing that's required to to put yourself back together again.
Yeah. Huh. What did I learn? So yeah, physically, again, I will say that our bodies are miracles. So
Yeah,
I was really grateful just for the ability to heal. I mean, I know that many of us have different journeys, and so we are in different bodies, and there's
yeah,
different abilities and things that we all are given. But that really, whatever level your body is functioning in, it really, is a gift, right? And if
it
we can just
is.
tap into the parts of it that we can start to feel and understand, it's great. So I really learned physically,
Yeah,
again, that these things are kind of foundational, right? And even just like trying to lay down in a
yeah.
way, because I broke a part of like the back part of my skull,
Oh,
little cracked also. And it's like, oh, if I lay this way, agony. If I sit super still, maybe this way, it's kind of okay. But just that, I think the things that we take for granted, when
yeah,
we're just lying, we think we are lying down and the position that we're in is actually healing. Maybe it's not. Maybe it doesn't hurt you in the moment, but there are different ways that we move, and it could just be a very, very minor, positioning that is either doing a service or doing a disservice to our body. And so I really realized that it's these nuances of movement
yeah.
that can really elevate how we feel and how we move, or the same little nuance can totally put you in a position of discomfort and putting you down the wrong, path, so to speak. For
Which is a gift in itself,
Mhm.
because the attention to the minute body sensations that we have, we're not taught that. And
Right.
it's critical. It really is critical, not only in just like in your healing journey, physical, but your emotional. Like our body holds tension that we are not aware of because our attention is not that sensitive to those subtle tightness. But because you were in that journey where your body was going to send you a very clear signal when you were not in the right position, you became almost hyper attuned to these sensations. So I'm wondering, did it get to the level of like now on the other side of it? Can you feel like when emotional
Mm.
things are not sitting right with you, where there's tension, or where, if I move this way, or if this person comes into my space, something, I got some body stuff that'll let me know, nah.
Yeah. I definitely feel it. It's
Okay.
interesting because if I'm honest, it's not that I did not feel those things before.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
It's more, do you create space and are you brave enough to lean into it and do what your body is telling you is happening, right?
Yes.
So I definitely am aware of it, more. And from the how am I breathing? I do this thing where I talk loud, and then if I am getting excited about something, so it's loud and it's fast, and so when I'm speaking, I do this a lot with my awesome husband, and I know I'm chatting, and I'm like, okay, I'm talking fast and I'm talking loud. I'm aware of it now,
Yeah.
right? And so now it's kind of like, well, why? Like, what's happening now? Is this a
Mm-hmm.
topic? Like, how am I feeling? Am I nervous about this thing? Am I excited about it? And so I'm doing a better job of trying to identify how I feel in a moment. And to your point, like a person, and is that me? Am I bringing this, out of them? Because I'm focusing on a certain aspect of, their movement or our past interactions. You know what I mean? So I'm,
Yeah.
I'm really more aware of how I feel in my body now, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
also willing to be honest and take ownership of what kind of energy am I putting out there? Because you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really believe like, oh, okay, I've got the power to change how I feel in this moment instead
Yeah.
of giving it to someone else. Like, oh, I'm feeling this way because you came at me this way. I can respond differently. And I really feel like that was a gift that was given
Mm-hmm.
for, just being more in tune
Yeah.
with my body, and wanting to know more about how it works,
Yeah.
and the different ways that, I can affect how I feel in that moment.
Yeah. Would you say before the accident you were more of I guess you weren't as proactive as you are now with like protecting your peace
Mm.
or setting boundaries? Do you feel like that shifted dramatically after?
Yeah, I would definitely say that. And I'm still way more reactive than I need to be. I mean, if I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah.
But there's language and certain things that, again, because you want to heal and you want to use this as an opportunity to say, okay, I've been given a chance here. This is, it was a big,
Mm,
turning point. Like, a lot of people just don't walk away from that.
yeah.
Right. And so much so that, people who know, that I was in a very, very serious accident, they'll see you. I remember it could be like, 6 months later or a year later, like, weren't you in an accident? Like, I was. I really, no, I really was. And it was really bad. It
Yeah.
really was.
Yeah.
Um, but again, God is good and our bodies are miracles,
Yeah.
and I don't take it for granted. And some days I get down on myself because, there's our life journeys, right? And there's
Yeah.
always something that we're trying to like overcome, whether that is like, try these things that make you scared, or do, just
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm.
braver in this area, or whatever the thing is that you're trying to be better at. And sometimes I get down on myself and like, hey, you've overcome a lot. Like, this is your second act, so to speak. And so
Yes.
what are you going to do with that? Right.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the space that I sit in now. Like the physical healing, I'm really good at,
Yeah.
I break it, I'll heal it.
Yes, you have.
Right? I will heal it. It is that stuff again that I said that you don't see
Yeah.
that becomes now the new conversation and the new goal and the new focus.
Yeah.
While yes, still doing the things that you have to do every day, drink your water, take your walks,
Mm-hmm.
stretches, so that you honor your body physically. But then that opens up the space to now, what emotionally do I need
Yes.
to sit with, so that I'm showing up in ways that not just, on the outside look healed, but
Yes.
that truly, you're bringing healing to the environments and the people that you encounter.
Yeah. Is there anything in particular that really helps you now processing emotions? Do you journal? What are you proactively doing to get to the stuff that you don't see?
Yeah. So I do journal,
Okay.
now because I historically, if I'm just honest, I have had a, problem with just giving voice
Okay.
to the feeling, right?
Yes.
Giving voice to the feeling, being okay with how you feel, so that you can have just wonderfully loving and deep, conversations,
Mm-hmm.
with people that you're doing life with. So I do journal.
Okay.
I do a lot of walking these days, which
Yeah.
is super super helpful. And I'm a music chick. I love
I was
music.
wondering when that was gonna come in.
Yes. So I listen to a lot of music, create, music.
Mm-hmm. She sang young.
So a lot of times I will just whatever I'm feeling, particularly with, the kids and the family, it's kind of like, oh, there she goes again. She's just gonna do, an off the cuff rap or something. But
Yeah.
music is fun, right?
Yeah.
At least for me, it is, and
It
it is
is
it
fun.
is very healing. And so a lot of music, a lot of walking, and
Yeah.
I do journal.
That's good. I'm glad that we mentioned the creative piece. That's something that I
You have it too.
regularly, yes, I regularly champion is having a creative outlet, not letting that old programming that you might have gotten that, oh, you sing, you off key, letting that kind of stuff stop you from using your voice. What you can't draw, what's this even? No, because we good for that, especially in our community. I feel like be joning people. But listen, that was your expression in order to move your emotional body. That those emotions, like that is the language of the subconscious, is symbols and creativity and color. So I'm always going to champion the arts for that.
Yeah, no, it is good for that. And I'm learning to embrace it,
Yes.
again now from a non-perfectionism place, right? And
Yes.
so, because before it's like, oh, you need to be good at it to do it, not necessarily at all, but to really do it and to say that it's something that you do, then you need to be good at it. And so now I'm just like, no, it makes me feel good in my body, right? And so I will
Yeah.
do this thing, and it's for me.
Yeah.
And yes, if it blesses someone else, great. But it's really been a journey of getting back to, no, you do the music or you sing or you do the dance or whatever that is because it makes you feel, alive, right?
Yeah. 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 And I feel like we actually did a collaboration and it was
Yeah.
so beautiful because I feel like I can't speak for you, but I kind of can speak for you because we've talked about it through all the planning process. Literally, we were at a point where, we're doing the mommy and thing, and we're just like, wait, we music, we got some skills, we can. And I feel like we were on even during the planning process, we were on this journey back to ourselves, right, and connecting with those aspects of ourselves that maybe we put on the shelf, dusting off the piano, pulling things back out, tools that we loved dearly as kids and young, before we took on these other additional roles. And it felt like a homecoming for me, working with you, and I love it. I'm excited about the next opportunity to do so.
Yeah, yeah, we should definitely make another opportunity. I was, really honored, that you said, "Hey, let's just play," together. It was really a moment of play, and you just said something that really, I'm sitting with these days. And you said before we chose these other roles or took on these other roles, and I think what's really, really important, and going to the name of your podcast, Meds and Magic, a part of the magic is understanding that we have choices,
Yes.
right? And so I know for a lot of people, and I can say, in certain situations in my life, it's like we act like we don't have choices,
Yeah.
but we do.
We
And
do.
when you lean into your choice, it becomes more beautiful to say, "Oh, yay, this is awesome. This is what I chose." You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yes.
and I understand, there's situations that happen in life where people are like, no, I definitely didn't choose that. And, that could be something that we dig into another time. But
Yeah.
at these things, if we say, hey, this was something that was put on my plate and I chose to eat this, or I chose to make my Thanksgiving plate this way,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
It's literally one of the first steps, I believe, in my personal journey, at least it has been the first step back to getting my power. Like the realizing that, hey, I actually always have a choice, no matter what circumstances fall into my lap sometimes that I feel like are out of my control, right? Even then, there's a choice point of how I respond.
how you respond.
There's a choice point in me creating whatever space I can,
Mhm.
right? I don't have to be right here next to the thing that's triggering me. I can choose to create spaciousness so I can decide how I want to show up. So even getting on that micro level of choice is empowering. And the more you practice,
Mhm.
in that, the more momentum it gains and the bigger the spaciousness will begin to feel no
Yeah.
matter like the triggers. And I mean, I literally was just off camera talking to Kelly about how I literally went through a trigger yesterday. I am not exempt from this, y'all, and literally gave myself permission this morning to have more space. I got up earlier than I normally did
Mm.
because I normally do, because I knew I needed space. And I knew that I wanted to choose differently today how
Yeah.
I responded.
Yeah.
And that's how I was going to feel powerful, even though yesterday I felt powerless,
Yeah.
you know?
No, it's yes. Well, and to your point about not being exempt from it, I mean, this is a beautiful conversation because, like, literally none of us are
Yeah.
exempt from it. I don't, it just, I don't care who you think you're running into, and you think, oh, he or she has it all together. No,
Mhm.
there are moments, right? And to your point, it's about what we choose to focus on every day. I will say for a lot of times, particularly when I was younger, just focusing on comparison and, what
Yes,
you worry about what people are thinking, are you showing up okay? And it limits you from just being free,
it does.
to be just who you are, who you're created to be, and what feels good to you.
Yeah.
And we're worrying about, folks' opinions who they got their own stuff. And if you really knew all the
All
layers,
the stuff they was going through.
why am I, giving all my power over to this particular person or situation? But it's human nature, and we're all learning, and we're all on this journey and growing. And you just said something that I am trying to embrace more. Like you said, you woke up a little bit earlier today, so that you could give more space. Like for me, that's a big thing because historically, I always tell myself, and what you tell yourself is very important.
It is.
I, I'm not. You're not a. I'm not a morning person, right? Like I'm this creative. Oh, I'm gonna be up all night. That's
Yeah.
my space and time. But like, no, there's a part of me saying, okay, no, you have choice. You own
Mm-hmm.
your power. Like, get up
Get up.
because you want to, right?
Yes.
Because it's going to create, to your point, a different shift. In how you show up today. It's going to
Yes.
give you more space.
Yes.
And so just making those minor decisions
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over and over again will
Is
lead
the
to bigger impact that you want to
is
have.
the medicine. And I want to point out, because I think sometimes people get caught up in like, for instance, I want to point out that I did not proactively wake up like, hey, I'm going to wake up refreshed and do this healing and create this space. I said it and I'm going to do it. Like, it did not look like that. And so if you're having your head that you have to show up in that way in order to get the thing done, no, ma'am. It literally was, I think I want to get up early tomorrow. Usually it's like it doesn't happen. Today, again, I didn't feel like doing it. My husband actually woke up at 5:30. He's stumbling around and I'm just like, oh, I want to wake up on my own. This is literally how it happened this morning. I want to wake up on my own. I want to have to wake up because he woke up. He shuffles around. He finally leaves, and I'm just laying there like, but I just need. I wanted to wake up on my own. I deserve IDI.
Yeah,
I
that I disease.
deserve to sleep a little bit later. And then that little voice was like, but you wanted to wake up early anyway. And I'm like, I'm up.
Right. That's
That's
right.
how it happened, y'all. That's how it happened.
And well, it's good, and making peace with how it happened too,
Yes.
right? Making peace with it, right?
That's exactly what I had to do.
Yeah, you
So
wanted to get up, so now you're up.
it looks messy
Yeah.
when you're actually doing it and walking it out, especially when you're doing something new for the first time or changing a particular behavior that it goes against your like regular neural pathways that have already been ingrained. Like that first shift, that first doing it, like it can look a mess. But I'm counting it as a win because I got up a whole hour before I normally would get up, and it was the medicine that I needed,
Yeah.
right? And that's now evidence for me, right? My own personal experiential evidence to say, look, when you say you want to do something and you actually make a choice to do it, good things, great things, healing things happen for you. And nobody can ever take that away from you,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And to your point, like you're making the choice for you,
Yeah.
right? And it can be that you're supporting someone else, but like, no, I'm making this choice so that I show up in this space feeling different or
Mm-hmm.
responding differently. You know what I mean? And so
Yes.
that I don't necessarily have the same thoughts that aren't serving me, when I'm doing
Yeah.
something. Yeah, it's a choice. And people, I'm not going to say deserve because, we talk about IDI disease a
I
lot.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah, we be.
yeah,
I use that a lot now because of you.
yeah. Yeah, but so there's good IDI disease, and then there's good IDI, and then there's like IDI that's not serving us because that pint of ice cream that I want to be having
Um,
because I'm doing IDI, it's like okay,
that third glass of wine, probably not.
probably not, probably not a good use of IDI, but I deserve to have space today. Um, the people who are going to encounter me today in life deserve me to show up, as the most centered person that I can be. Okay,
Yes,
so it's time to get up.
yes, time to
You,
get
you know?
yes.
And so I will be just fully transparent. There are just things that I am, in this space of life saying, okay, what is it that you need to do differently? To your point, it's not going to be easy. It will be messy as you're doing it, but what part of IDI, like, do you need to make sure this is consistent because you deserve space, you deserve
Yeah,
clarity, all,
yeah,
all these things that some of these better choices bring, uh,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and just,
Absolutely.
yeah, just deciding you're going to do it.
Yes, just deciding. And literally, sometimes it works, and then having a compassion when you choose differently. Except being fully responsible, right? And fully awake about like I chose differently. And I have compassion for myself and but I'm going to keep trying because I want to be different and I know the key to unlock that is to actually think differently and do something different to have a different result, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I will say this right here,
Yeah.
this face on your podcast
Yeah.
is something different because I
Yeah.
would not have chosen this. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I love behind the scenes, like
Yeah.
when uh,
Yeah.
the curtains are opening and closing, or the music is sounding good, or the lights are flashing. Yeah, like I can be that one with all the arms and legs out, making
Yeah.
those things work. But saying yes
Yeah.
to being seen in a different way and showing up in a different way, I just want you to know, like this is a big shift for me. So
Yay.
we say that, yeah.
And I selfishly love being parts of that shit. I'm gonna own it. It's part of healing, and I'm a healer, so yeah. So I always like to highlight that when we are going through any type of healing journeys, that we're not in a bubble. We are not, none of our healing happens in isolation. We are meant to heal in community. However extensive that community is for you, it varies. I'm of a particular mind that the more you're open to being vulnerable, more open to receiving help, more open you are to literally letting go and surrendering to your healing, that like a flood of community will show up for you. I want to know for you, what did that look like? Was it hard for you to open up to community and to help? I know we had talked about before that your sister came down
Mhm.
to take care of the family, and she got a nice dose of what it likes to live in Kelly's shoes. What was it like for you to open yourself up to community during this healing process?
Yeah, it's interesting. So again, part of healing is starting to learn how to be transparent
Yeah.
about who you are and the things that you lean into and the things that you don't. And so while I lean into community, or part of me leaning into community before was I leaned into community when I was asked to, right? So if you needed me to show up and that sort of thing, I was there. I've never been traditionally comfortable saying, hey, here's what I need. Here's like kind of what I'm feeling.
Hmm.
Um, and so not an excuse. It just is one of those things where you look up and you say, oh, this is a muscle that I haven't really practiced as much as I need to,
Yeah.
right? And understanding that while you think it is protecting people from
Right.
having to overextend themselves on your behalf, it actually, is doing a disservice in some ways
Hmm.
to a relationship, right? It's
Yeah.
not allowing it to go as deep, as it can go
Yes.
in certain areas and that sort of thing. So
Hmm.
just learning how to be more open. So when that happened, um, it wasn't necessarily me saying, hey, this is what I need. Luckily, I had wonderful people, around me, wonderful, supportive and loving husband, my sister, who they're able to say like, hey, yo, this is
This
what's
is
needed.
what you need.
This is what you need, and this is what we need. This is what's
Yeah.
needed in this moment.
Hmm.
And so I'm really, really grateful, for having God putting people in my life
Hmm.
who, um, this is my word. So brave will come up a lot this year. This is my word for this year, maybe for the next year too. But putting people in my life who are brave enough to be open and talk about like what's needed. On my behalf. If
Yeah.
I'm not able to say it, then they were able to say it. And in those moments, sometimes when you just aren't able to push back or push against it, you're like, oh,
Hmm.
I guess I gotta just let this come on in.
Yeah.
And so, they're brave enough and to say what's needed and have lived beautiful, wonderful lives so that there are people that around them who will say, hey, you need support, so I'll support you. And so you get to see it in action.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was great to allow family and friends to love on us,
Hmm.
and then kind of just to see the wonderful circles that people around me have created, to where all they had to do was just say, "Hey, here's a situation, here's a need," and based off of the strength of who they are, people say, "Okay, well, we'll help out."
Yes.
It was a beautiful example of what truly being open and learning how to be vulnerable looks like, what it can look
Did
like.
you have any, um, I guess now looking, you're 5 years removed, um, what what is sort of like your biggest, like most surprising lesson that you learned out of it? Whether it be an emotional one, what you learned about yourself, what was a catalyst for something you mentioned earlier about your work and got clarity around sort of what you were here to do, be put on this planet for. What was your biggest aha moment that came out of this?
Yeah, I think my biggest aha moment was I always knew that I was strong. Like, again,
Mm.
that I was physically, strong. I always felt like I can do things. Like,
Hmm.
particularly my dad, he's a I can fix it kind of person and
Yeah.
normally fixes the things, right? So I was raised, I mean, I knew I could fix things, like even if that meant fixing my body. Um, I think what the biggest aha moment for me was that in a lot of ways, what's the right word? I was hiding, right?
Mm.
So you start to try to heal emotionally, and these things, you talk about being able to be vulnerable and say, hey, this is what I need, this is kind of what I'm going through, this is what I'm feeling. Like, well, why is that hard? Like, what's going on there?
Yes.
And in a lot of ways, still working through that. But I feel like I'm getting better,
Yeah.
at it, and I've been much better. And so a part of just being honest about that being a something that I am trying to embrace more. Help me think about, to your point, the work and how I want to show up. And it's like I heard, I forget who said it. I think many people have said it, but that if you want to be good at something or help someone, like help somebody in the thing that you need help with.
Mm.
I'm not
Mm.
paraphrasing, I'm not saying it correctly, but
Yeah.
yeah, if you can be great at something, help someone in the thing that you need help with, and that's okay. And so, one of the things that I've always, I think, kind of needed help with, because I have so many interests and
Okay.
talents, and trying to figure out how to put them all together. In my next move, whether that be career wise or something else. And so I really have embraced this idea of putting all my talents together, whether that's, creativity, technology, ideation, into this employer branding for me is this wonderfully fun space. I had done, an internal communications project for a former client of the business that I was working with, and it was helping employees figure out career paths for
Okay.
themselves. And I thought, man, when I had a moment to sit post accident, like that was kind of fun and cool. I would think I want to do more of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And so it took me, honestly, probably about a year to just
Okay.
honestly say, okay, this is the space and the lane that I want to play in.
Yeah.
And so it's been a wonderful, shift for me, and I'm still very much, figuring that out. But it's fun to have these conversations with folks about their employer brands. Like when you say you want to hire someone, well, what does that mean? What are you hiring them to? Beyond just this, role, like do we have stories? Are there people who can vouch for these values that you say you have?
Mm.
So really, really, I call it organizational therapy. Uh,
Yes.
kind of so that we can get to the other end of putting out good content and stories and campaigns that really will bring people or inspire people to bring their best selves to the work. There's just a lot of internal conversation and questions that we have to ask. And I love it because I have to ask myself those same questions. It's like if I'm going to go ask someone else to think about it for themselves or their business, it's like, well, Kelly, have you taken the time to really think this through?
Mm-hmm.
Same questions.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's not easy. But I think that was my biggest aha moment, that, okay, you're hiding a little bit and shutting yourself off emotionally when you're not opening up and asking.
Yeah.
And so, how do you start to do more of that and take it with you wherever you go? And so, I've found this really, really wonderful way of doing that with the work that I'm doing now.
Love that. And it's important work. I feel like we're on the precipice of a shift in sort of workplace dynamics, and where there's starting to be a blending of, you know, your health, your mental health, your physical health, how you show up for work, how you engage with your family. I don't know if it's a return to something, pre modern day, if it's something indigenous, I don't know what, but I know that there is a longing for workplaces to like live out their values. They say they're into work life balance. They say they promote work life balance, or promote you living your most authentic self. And, they say a lot of these things, and I feel oftentimes there's a mixed match of that and what actually is happening. And
Mhm.
so I think your work is sitting perfectly at this point in history, where I know for me as an older millennial, that's something that's always been on my mind. Even when I was in a traditional workforce, I'm just like, I'm a whole person. You know what I mean? I am a whole person with interests, with the desire to be there for my family. Like, I don't want to shed all of who I am to get plugged in to a cog, that's devoid of any personality, any sort of values, or and then come back out and then be my real self
Yeah.
outside here, you know?
No, I do know, but you know what's interesting though, even if you're in an environment, my thing is just about us being braver to tell the truth. So even if you're in an environment where like, hey, we really don't have a lot of space because of the way that we have to
They,
get this work done or get this product out, you know, it's like you come in and you do your thing, but we put things in place so that when you do have to plug back out, that you can plug back out, you know, a little bit more easily or
yeah.
clear. Like just say the thing
Just
like that.
say the thing.
You know what I mean?
Because I think that's like I was saying, the mix match, the expectations. That's where all the mess comes in because nobody's really saying the
Yeah, because
thing.
then you can fill in the gaps or
Yeah.
do what you need to do when you make this decision um, to do this thing
And
or not.
you don't feel duped. You feel like, okay, I chose, back to the choice.
Back
I
to the
chose
show.
to engage
Yeah,
in this, and I can do things to support where they might can't, provide that at the time. So yeah,
yeah,
I love that.
yeah. But
Tell
you know,
us,
we got to exercise our bravery to get choices. We
tell
all
us
got to
how to
be a
be
little bit
brave.
braver about just saying what we're doing, what we need, what we want, and then we can all make these choices to do life together.
Yeah. Tell us more about what's next for you. How
Yeah.
can we stay in contact with you? How can we engage with you in this and support you in this next
Yes.
phase?
Well, you can find me at mindyourmargin.com. So that's mind, M-I-N-D, your, Y-O-U-R, margin, M-A-R-G-I-N.com. And that's, the employer branding space that I'm trying to build now and just, have more conversations about what it
Yeah.
means to really break down that word margin, right? I mean, you hear it initially. Some people think space, some people think money, right? But it's about how do we create space for people to bring their best selves so that yes, you can actually have more impact, make more money, do those things, but from a people space perspective. So mindyourmargin.com is where you can find me. And what's next is just, more conversations around that.
Okay.
So that's the business convo. Personally, it's more music,
Yeah.
more walking, more connection with people
Yeah.
like your wonderful self. And just, asking myself the hard life questions, you know, who you want to be, how you're going to get there, um, you know, just what are you interested in? What do you love? What are you not loving? And just finding the courage to be honest with those answers. So,
Oh my gosh. Kelly, thank you so much for being here on the show. I want you to come back for sure if you're willing. I think you're such an inspiration, and I just want everyone to support Kelly how you can. Go on to her website, have a conversation. This chick right here is strong. She learned that for herself, and I see her walk it out. Raising these beautiful boys, loving wife, and I'm just in awe of you, and I'm very grateful.
well, I'm grateful for you too. Thank you. And when I do come back, we might have to do the little song that we created together.
Yes, we co-wrote a song.
Yes. But we'll write another one.
We will.
Maybe that's the episode, us writing the song together. How about
Yes,
that?
I love it.
That'd be our
Bring
magic.
that creative magic.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Meds and Magic. Don't forget to like, follow, share. This is how we get the word out. This is how we get the message out that healing is just a part of our regular lives. It's an ongoing journey, and it's best done in community. So
Yes.
I'll see you guys next time. Bye.